China and India will burn enormous amounts of coal over the next several decades. At those rates, we are likely to hit 450 parts per million of carbon in 2020, not in 2050 as the IPCC has projected. We are on a radical trend towards much higher atmospheric levels of carbon, and the only way to stop it is to make alternative energy sources, whether it's nuclear, coal with carbon sequestration, solar, wind, you name the technology, cheaper than coal, not only in developed societies where we may be willing to somewhat raise the price of polluting energy sources, but in developing societies like China and India, where the implications of doing so are very significant in terms of improving living standards, which are the top priorities for those societies, as they should be. How do we get to the clean energy future? Well, our view is that it requires, as I said, huge shared global investments in a broad portfolio of clean energy technologies and infrastructure. But I think the key thing is that there is no one technology that's going to save us. We need to make investments in a pretty diverse set of technologies. And one of the problems that we have today is that we don't even have enough in the pipeline. When you look at the real and likely trajectory of global carbon emissions, and you look at what it will take to dramatically reduce those emissions, even if we throw every relatively mature clean energy technology we have at the problem, and every one of those technologies comes up sevens, as we say, we maybe barely deal with the problem. And that's 100% hit rate on every technology that you have. China should be producing solar panels and windmills and nuclear technologies and all of the whole range of technologies we're going to need. It may make sense to be demonstrating carbon sequestration technologies in China as well as in the US and Europe. And it actually may be, we may get there faster by doing that in the developing world, where for a variety of reasons there are fewer barriers to testing some of those technologies. We can sort of rein in profligate carbon-intensive consumption in the developed world, but we have to realize that most of the growth in emissions is not going to come from Chinese and Indians driving SUVs. It's going to come from China and India and the rest of the developing world building the basic infrastructure of a modern state, roads and housing and sewage treatment and all of the things that even Western environmentalists who deplore consumption take for granted. And that's the challenge, is to do that all with cheap, clean energy, and it's the only way we'll do it.